Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I got this chair from a second-hand shop, cost me $20. Brought it home, had a good look at it, realised it was oak, so I thought I would restore it back to its original condition. Unfortunately, it's got a very thick layer of varnish or lacquer of some sort, and they have stained it a very deep dark red. So I thought I'd use some polish stripper and just take off as many layers of varnish as I could. So I just scuff sanded the whole chair first, and then went ahead and used this poly paint stripper. It strips varnish as well. It does work quite fast, but it also dries fast, so you have to put it on quite thick. So yeah, I just worked in areas, little areas at a time, and put it on quite thick. It stinks too, so it's a good idea to wear a mask and gloves. It will burn your hands if you get it on your skin. I thought it would look quite nice, restored back to its original finish, wood. So yeah, I went ahead and scraped some layers of varnish off, and the wood grain was starting to show through, and it looked quite nice. You can see how deep that red stain is as well. So then after I'd done the whole chair with the poly stripper, I just wiped it down with the Stilo pad and some mineral spirits and terps, just to get off the excess poly stripper. And then with the legs, I just used a little soft wire brush just to get into all those little nooks and crannies, make sure it came out clean, get rid of that poly stripper. So here it is. So after I've cleaned it all up, I realised that the wood is quite rough. It's not a very well made chair, and that board at the back isn't oak, it's just pine. But never mind, persevere. I will start sanding it down and just see what happens. You can see that line down the centre of that board. It's actually two different pieces of wood joined together. So yeah, I sanded it down to see what it would come up like. And you can see here how rough the wood is. It's just like rough sawn timber really, so it's not made very well, and there's lots of little nails, heads in it as well, and big deep grooves. So that's it after sanding. So I thought, no, it's probably not worth restoring it back to its original condition. So I just smoothed out all the edges, made sure I got all the poly stripper off, and decided instead of a restoration it's going to have to be a makeover. I did notice borer in some of the framing, so I drenched the whole thing in a borer kill. Just made sure it was really dripping with it, so it all soaked in, and I let it soak in for a few hours, and then I hosed the excess off. It was quite sticky, so I had to give it a really good wash to get it all off. And then I just wiped it down with a towel, get rid of most of the water off there, and left it in the sun to dry for a few hours. And there's the red stain just coming out onto my rag. So I knew I had to use a really good undercoat, so I used this bin undercoat. It has shellac in it, so it will seal it and stop that stain coming through. Probably will take 2 coats, I'm thinking at this stage, 2 or 3. So I give it a really good stir, because this stuff settles in the bottom of the tin. I usually use a spray can, but this is the first time I've bought a tin, so yeah, so that's after 1 coat. You can see the stain coming through. Flipped it over, did the underside, and I ended up doing 2 coats. So this is the fabric that I'm thinking of using. It has old-fashioned coffee logos on it. I thought that was quite unique. And I also have this other material, this one here. This is a safer bet to use this one. My daughter says, no, Mum, use the coffee one. She thinks that's really neat, so I'm undecided at this stage. Anyway, so I take off the vinyl that's on the seat pad, and it was quite rotten. It just peeled away quite easily, and it had a really funky smell to it. And then underneath there was another layer, so obviously someone's already had a go at remaking this chair or redoing it up. So yeah, and it was full of this, I'm not quite sure what you call this stuffing in the inside. Is it kapok? I'm not sure. Someone might know. And yeah, like I said, it stunk a bit. So I went into town and took one of the samples with me of material and tried to pick a colour that I thought would suit both, because I'm still undecided which one I'm going to use. And I ended up getting a very light colour, and it's called tea. It's sort of that ivory cream colour that you can see in the sample there. So I sanded down any rough spots after the undercoat. As I said, I had 2 coats of undercoat. That stopped the staining coming through. And then I just wiped it down with a rag. Make sure you get all of the dust off before you start painting. And this is the colour. You can barely tell the difference actually. You can, well, it looks cream here, but yeah, as I said, it's called tea, and it's just a low sheen acrylic. This is the brush I like to use. It's very soft and it's an excellent brush. I took that second layer of fake leather, sort of like a vinyl, off. It was quite thin and rotten, and removed all that stuffing. There was a million attacks in there. It took me a long time to pull them all out with this little nifty tool that I got. And there's all the nails or tacks. So I used the wooden seat as my template and just traced around there onto a piece of foam. I just got this offcut of foam through a upholsterer in town. It's quite good. He sells offcuts for very cheap. It only cost me $5, which was great. And I just cut it with a serrated knife. It cuts very easily. It's quite a firm padding foam. He says it's excellent for chairs, and I thought I'd use a spray adhesive to glue it on. So I did a test on a piece of wood and a piece of foam, and it stuck really well. So I went ahead and used that. So spray the underside of the seat, put quite a bit on there. And then also do the piece of foam, and then I just left them aside for a few minutes just until the glue went tacky before I placed the foam on top of the wood. You can see how firm that foam is just by me pressing on it. And I just got a heavy box and pop that on for a bit of weight. Just sit that on there. And then I also put a chili bin on top of that as well. And I left that there for a couple of hours to dry. Right, it's time to reupholster now. So I put a backing sheet around first, and I just used a staple gun to attach that. Once you've done all 4 edges, just trim off any excess. And there we have it, ready for the material. So this is the material. So just pull it really tight and you staple it. And make sure that your lines on your pattern are nice and straight on the edge of the seat itself, so you don't have squiggly pattern. It's just nice and straight. Do the other side. Try and pull it as firm as you can before you staple, and then just tidy up the corners. This is a bit fiddly on the corner. Have to muck around quite a bit to get it right. See me fiddling there for quite a while to get that corner right, but once I had one side right, I learned how to do the other 3. Pretty frustrating watching this now. But yeah, finally got it. And just trim off the excess material as well. So that's looking quite nice. So I always like to tidy the underside as well. So I had some leftover material. I just cut a piece out there and I just fold over the edge and then just attach that with the staple gun as well. And it just tidies it up, makes it look a lot nicer. So after that first coat of paint, I just sanded down any bits that had stuck because I painted it at night time. It's not very good light, and I don't advise you to paint at night unless you have really good light. So I had to sand down. There was the odd hair and bits and bobs stuck to the paint, so I gave that a light sand. So this is what it looked like, and I wasn't happy with that colour. So then I thought I'd do a grey. So I just did a bit on the back just to see what it looked like. And it wasn't really dark enough, so I custom mixed my own, made it a bit darker, and went ahead and repainted the chair in grey. Still didn't like it, so I went through my cupboard and found some more paint called Kina. It is a brown, looks a bit muddy there, but it's actually more of a dark grey brown. So repainted again. That's it there, Kina brown. It is a Karen Walker chalk paint. So flip the chair upside down, make sure you get every little bit. And then once that was dry, I sprayed it with a matte clear finish for chalk paints. It's restoleum matte clear. And I gave that 3 coats. And went ahead and popped the seat in. Pushed down quite hard on all 4 corners to make sure it was stuck in there good. So a reminder, that's what it looked like before. And this is it now. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'd really appreciate it, and I really want to get to 1,000 subscribers. What do you think? Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.